the more you can do to really educate your clients, like putting, disclaimers or descriptions in your reports that kind of explain, okay, last year the metric meant this, this year it means this, so you might see discrepancies. Just like getting ahead of that communication, being as transparent as possible will help reduce the amount of questioning you get from your clients and bosses over time.
Welcome to What Gets Measured, a NinjaCat podcast about marketing, performance management, metrics, and effectiveness. Because what gets measured gets managed. I'm your host, Jake Sanders. Lily Ray is VP of SEO Strategy and Research at Amsive, a full-service performance marketing agency that enhances marketing ROI through innovative solutions. Lily's a DJ, a drummer, has almost 15 years of marketing experience at every level of the funnel, and she's here today to talk about the state of search marketing. Lily, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm following you on social, and boy, search is having a moment. Kind of. Lily is out here on the field. She is field reporting in search. And so, I just wanted to get your take. What do you think were the most important changes that happened, that are happening in 2024? And what's the impact that you've seen?
I think the most important change, just like objectively speaking, is that Google launched AI overviews publicly, at least in the US, and it's kind of trickling out in some other countries as well. So that fundamentally changes the whole search experience, and it will change the whole search experience if that continues to roll out around the world.
Mm-hmm.
We're still figuring out the impact of that because it's hard to measure with the lack of data that we currently have, like how that's impacting the flow of traffic on Google. But I think that's the biggest change to Google's product overall.
Right.
But as far as SEO is concerned, I think probably the biggest change this year, there's all kinds of changes, but I would say the biggest change is the rise of user-generated content in the search results, predominantly Reddit and Quora results.
Right. And so, what are some of the impacts that you're seeing, just with the search experience, but also with clients? Are they getting overtaken by some of these user-generated content queries, or how? And you said there's limited data, so just kind of from the peanut gallery.
Well, there's limited data as far as AI overviews, and that's only because, it's a brand new product. It's still rolling out, and we don't have a mechanism within, for example, like Google Search Console to break out which traffic came from the regular search results compared to AI overviews just yet.
Right.
So that makes it really hard to know what the impact is on traffic. But as far as other changes to search, like the rise of Reddit in search results, there are plenty of tools that we can look at least third-party tools that tell us how that's impacting traffic. And it is, it's absolutely taking away traffic from all kinds of sites. The one thing that's interesting about it is it's not just one category that's impacted by, Reddit and Quora increasing so much in
Mm-hmm.
search visibility. It's actually almost everything.
Wow.
I've done a number of different little studies, and I've published one or two articles with my intern Sylvia, and we're working on one now where we try to see is the Reddit impact isolated to one category? But the reality is it's really kind of any category you can think of.
One thing that's really inspiring about you is that you are constantly experimenting, and you have a very inherent curiosity, and you come to kind of no BS conclusions, which I appreciate because a lot of people leave the door open for the holy ghost of ROI. They're saying, it could be good, who knows? But you're very straight shooting, when you experiment with these things. Do you think that more SEO folks need to develop this curiosity? I don't see many SEO professionals teasing the system and trying to see what's going on. Do you get a sense that more SEO professionals are doing that on the side, or do you think more people should do this? Do you feel like you're unique in this regard?
Yeah, there's so many ways to answer that question. First and foremost, I think the most important answer to that question is that I work at an agency, Amsive, that supports me having this type of role and encourages me to have this type of role. And this
Right.
is a role that I've kind of built over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be more of a traditional SEO director or senior SEO director, doing a lot of the traditional, SEO director agency responsibilities. We're overseeing a team and helping many, many different clients. And there are a number of other directors on our SEO team now who kind of absorbed a lot of those responsibilities. but I do something different now. So I am doing what you're describing, where like, my title is VP of SEO Strategy and Research. So the research component is like I have a job that allows me to spend a lot of my time trying to figure out what Google's doing. I think a lot of the people that have more blended roles where they're servicing a lot more clients or they're, overseeing companies or departments or things like this, there's just not enough time in the day. I mean, the
Yeah.
reality is like, even with me having this job where I get to do a lot of this work,
Right.
I often feel like I'm not even remotely scratching the surface of what's happening, and nobody can. Like it's it's just too much data.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I think a lot of people try to. I know that a lot of people, for example, that have NDAs with the companies that they work at, are doing a lot of similar type of work as I am.
Right. Yeah. And they probably just not as out with it, but there's something so, I don't know, it's kind of courageous, because everybody's like, well, search is sort of this black box algorithm, kind of a lottery machine. You're thinking, well, maybe I'll just put some money in there and see what happens. And sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. And that leads into this next question. I mean, given that there are so many changes in SEO, like reporting, comparing results over time, like how do you suggest folks approach that, given that, it is sort of a tumultuous time?
Yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, for example, like switch from Universal Analytics to GA4 definitely threw a wrench into all kinds of reporting
Woo!
for everybody everywhere. I
Absolutely.
think you
Oh,
know that. Yeah.
do I know that? Do I live that?
Yeah, exactly. I think the more that you can kind of like house your own data, have your own data warehouse. I know a lot of agencies are using like BigQuery and Looker Studio and things like this to just kind of set up like automated reporting that hopefully is as consistent as possible over time. Or tools like NinjaCat, just like whatever you can do to get it automated is ideal. But, if the metrics themselves are changing because the tools are changing, there's only so much we can do about that.
Wow. I mean, you're so right. It's like, well, you got if you're automating bad stuff, it doesn't matter that it's automated. It's like,
Right,
oh, it
right.
showed up on its own. And you're like, is it
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Which
It
has
means something
always
different
been
than last month.
right, and no different than years ago where they were like, yo, we can get the stuff from the platforms, but you do have to do that due diligence, clean it up. I mean, and that's one of the things when I started working with NinjaCat is how many clients have taxonomy all over the place. There's no consistency. Like 7-Eleven could show up as July 11th, and,
Right.
and that's just the beginning. So that's a really good, so automation is key, but then like, what is that like bridging the barrier from UA to GA4? Like if you're looking for year over year, are you just sort of like, are we in this time where it's like, we know it's not apples to apples, like, and we're cool with it? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
all right, we're
I mean,
cool with it in quotes, right, Lily? We're cool.
well, we're cool with it to the extent that there's nothing we can do about it. So I don't think that C levels everywhere are always cool with it when the SEO comes in and tells them all these metrics changed, all the definitions of these metrics changed, and we have apples last year and oranges this year. And, it's just another example of us looking like fools when we can't really control what's happening.
How sad. I
But I think,
know.
the more you can do to really educate your clients, like putting disclaimers or descriptions in your reports that kind of explain, okay, last year the metric meant this, this year it means this, so you might see discrepancies. Just like getting ahead of that communication, being as transparent as possible will help reduce the amount of questioning you get from your clients and bosses over time.
Well, it's so crazy because they're like, marketing is science. It's kind of like art. And you're like, I know what you really want it to be is art. Because
Right.
science, you would need to have some plus minus. You might need to have some coefficients. You might need to have some appreciation for statistics,
Right.
which is like high. And when this jazz musician is telling you that, you know something's wrong.
Yeah.
So, but switching into that music, so you're a musician. Both music and SEO like require a deep understanding of audiences. How do your skills in engaging an audience as a DJ and musician translate to engaging an online audience through SEO?
That's interesting. I would say I don't know that like being a musician, which is something that I think, I've been my whole life. I've been drumming since I was 6.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that like the skills and the whatever like talents that I have as a musician necessarily manifest themselves in like the work that I do as an
Right.
SEO, but I would say there's a lot of overlap between like from a personal branding standpoint as far as doing like SEO marketing for myself and for my agency
Yeah.
and being a musician. Those obviously have a lot of overlap because you're at the end of the day, you're promoting something, you're getting on stage, you're, kind of marketing yourself to the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into that.
Right. Yeah. And do you feel like you have a little bit of confidence from your skills, like being on stage? I mean, I've said famously, I've died 1,000 times on stages. So I don't care if this meeting doesn't go like according to plan or whatever, like, because I've played some wine tastings that will, roll your head, your eyes back in your
That's
head,
so funny.
you know?
Yeah, I've made a joke a few times now, and it's something that I think about sometimes when I'm DJing. Like, there's this weird parallel universe between my SEO life and my DJ life.
Mm.
I'm gonna write a book about it one day.
Go.
Like,
Yeah.
it's such a weird thing that like I mean, there's only a few other SEOs I know that are actually DJs, but there's so many parallels. Like for example, getting on stage, like you just said, getting on stage and something going horribly wrong from like a technical perspective
Oh, yeah.
and then needing to fix it really quickly while everybody's staring at you. Like that's something that happens in both.
Well,
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than getting ready for the show and then breaking down the gear because,
Yeah.
like, you're just alone up there rolling chords and stuff.
Yep. 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 There's so much that like, yeah, the adrenaline beforehand and after and like the mingling with people before and after, like there's really a lot. I mean, I think just being a performer, which is ultimately what you are when you speak at SEO events.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's awesome to see you taking those things and blending them. I mean, you've been speaking at a lot of conferences. You just got back from Europe doing, multiple engagements there. So,
Yeah.
here's my question: requests. People coming up to you requesting things as the DJ, and then I'm thinking client requests as a,
Huh.
and you're like, isn't this interesting that you want that? And
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like, what's your take on requests? Because certain DJs have feelings.
Totally. I think a good parallel there would be like, with DJs, yeah, I mean, getting requests generally is the bane of our existence. I think like if you're DJing a wedding or a bar mitzvah or something, like it's expected that you're going to get a lot of requests, and that's kind of the nature of the job. So you should probably be prepared to have those requests and take those requests. But I play house music. Like I play like a pretty specific style of house music.
Yeah.
So when people come up to me and say, "Do you have Stevie Wonder?" which literally has happened, I'm just like, I don't have that in my repertoire right now,
Will you play
like
Brown Eyed Girl for us, please,
yeah, I'm
Lily?
like, I just don't have that ready to play for you right now. Like, read the room. But I think a good parallel with like clients would be, especially working in an agency. Anybody that works at an agency knows this all too well.
Yeah.
Clients will ask so many SEO questions and like theories and conspiracies and rumors that just like don't make any sense. Or like you can't blame them because like we're the experts and they're not, so it's fine. But like the number of questions that we get all the time that are like, oh my God, this is not how things work at all. And then you have to be diplomatic, you
Yes.
know, you have to be, that's your job, is to be very diplomatic and professional and try to help them understand.
Yeah.
But that's a big part of our job.
It's a big part of the job. And it's interesting too, because you're saying we're the professionals. Well, we haven't quite helped make it easy for the clients to understand this space either. But that goes back to your earlier point. Is like, man, there's a lot of this stuff is out of our control, but we can come
Yeah.
in on the end and say, all right, let's take a look at the past, see if it works and see if it maybe has something to do with the future. But the fact that you have the gig that lets you do this stuff, that lets you tease these results out and share, and talking with people like Mike King and all of those other SEO pros that are online, helping bring some clarity, and some consistency to what we're talking about. It's invaluable. So thank you for like doing that. But I wanted to talk about a story. Can you tell us like a Cinderella tale where you brought a client on and kicked SEO butt? And conversely, do you have any SEO horror stories?
Oh my goodness. There's so many of both things. I mean, I've been doing agency SEO for over 12 years now. So like, when people ask you a question and there's like 1,000 examples, but then you can't think of any.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
no, but I do have some that come to mind. I mean, I think, there's a lot of the stuff that I share publicly, like in particular like news and publisher SEO, which is a lot of what I talk about lately.
Yeah.
Um, that's like a lot of where the more controversial stuff is happening. But I would say like, local businesses, e-commerce businesses, mom and pop shops, like a lot of these sites that like aren't really threatened by SEO changes because at the end of the day, like the coffee shop, as long as they kind of have the boxes checked and they're doing Google Maps, Google Business Profile optimizations, like they're probably going to be okay regardless of algorithm updates. So I would say like more than half of our clients at Amsive are in that bucket where like they're either doing e-commerce and they're seeing consistent growth, year over year, or they're a local business or a franchise and they're expanding and they're super happy and they're, renewing with us every year because things are going really great. So like, I don't really share as much of those stories because it's not that like interesting. Like if you're doing things right, yes, it's successful. You can see a lot of growth. We win a lot of awards on our team for that type of work. And I think my most favorite like case study that I worked on was a pretty major website recovery from a site that was impacted by the Manic update in 2018. And after 2 or 3 years of extremely hard work, they saw a huge recovery, which was very rewarding.
Yeah.
Um, Horror stories, I would say, like a lot of times companies will come to us after having already done so much terrible SEO stuff, whether intentionally or not. Maybe they worked with like 16 different consultants that just like completely burned the website down in different ways, and then they ask us to fix it, and it's possible to fix.
Right.
That's not fun. Or right now, I would say there's a bit of an existential, threat or impact to a lot of affiliate sites. Unfortunately, even sites that are they're doing really good work, I think, and working with a lot of really good writers to try to do things right,
Hmm.
and they've been caught up in whatever recent Google algorithm update and they just can't recover right now. That really sucks. There's a lot of that happening right now.
It's I was just on Google Trends a couple days ago, and affiliate marketing searches were like way through the roof, and I wonder if it has something to do with this. They're maybe experiencing some problems, or they're being sandboxed or whatever. But I mean, affiliate marketing is that sort of like a pay to play PR kind of thing, or is like there's a reason why they went after affiliate marketing sites so hard?
Well, yes. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's hard to like generalize what all those sites are doing because I think plenty of those sites are doing things in a really helpful, ethical way that's good for users. But on the flip side, many, maybe most aren't, right? So like,
Yeah.
if, for example, if you are using the potential, revenue from an affiliate product as the content strategy for what you're writing about,
Mm,
you know, whatever has the highest potential for commissions on Amazon, if that's the product that you choose to rank number one in your list because of the commissions, to me, I mean, I guess you could say unethical, but also just like not good for users, right?
sure.
You should be writing this content in a way that you're recommending products that you truly recommend, and then hopefully you're making money in the process. I think too many sites got too focused on affiliate commissions because it worked extremely well and Google was driving lots of traffic to those types of sites.
Yep.
But that's what I think Google had to go after recently.
That's wild. Yeah. Well, and the rise of affiliate and then the fall and then the new and then who knows what new type of marketing is going to come. But truthfully,
Yeah.
Lily's going to be there. And I'm going to be following her, liking her things and sending memes when it's appropriate.
No, thanks.
Here, so just imagine you're hanging out, you're wrapping up chords after a gig, and a marketer comes up to you. She's obviously distraught. She's having problems with search marketing. What would be your like one piece of advice to this person just on search marketing and, just the one piece, like take this.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think the most important thing is understanding where your audience is because search marketing, SEO marketing is not always the channel. In many cases, it's not the channel. And I would say less and less it's the channel for getting your message out for many different types of businesses. And I think you have to, what is it, skate where the puck is going.
Right, right.
Like if things are shifting to video, which seems to be the case for many different categories, you should probably think about how to take your expertise and your knowledge and convert it to video. Like, it doesn't always mean you have to be a face that's on TikTok making a million TikTok videos, but how can you take, if you have a travel blog and your content's all about best things to do in New York City, how can you take what you know and put that information also out there in video format? Just because if you're going to try to create a new blog right now that's best things to do in New York City, you're not going to rank. It's just not going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in Google and YouTube being a huge search engine, that was one of
Right.
like in the past 2 years, it's like really starting to come in its own. And I mean, YouTube is just going up. So
Yeah.
yeah, great advice there. And understanding where the audience is, contextual stuff, like get into those places and see if you can make trusted partnerships. And I love that you're following the news and publisher stuff, because that is the middlemen, most times in between marketers and their audiences. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate your consistent effort. You're like super cogent focus on usefulness, and you don't have doomsday kind of coming off of you, but you're like asking questions like, what is up with this? And
Yeah.
it is a breath of fresh air, because everybody's like, you're either, on the bandwagon or you're just a hater. And I think you straddle that thing, saying this has to work for everybody. And
Yeah.
there should be more people like you. But there
thank you.
cannot be another Lily Ray. So anyway, you're amazing. I want everybody to follow you. How can people learn more about you and connect online, Lily?
Well, first of all, thank you. That's all very kind of you. I still post on X, formerly Twitter, a little reluctantly these days, but that's where I tend to share most of my SEO thoughts. In fact, that's pretty much all I do on there, and I post very, very frequently. So if you're still on there, if you're on there, that's the main place to hear my thoughts. Otherwise, I try to take kind of like the main findings and takeaways and ideas that I have and post them more coherently on LinkedIn as well. I'm trying to be a bit better with posting videos, but like I just said, but videos they're hard to do. It's hard to be consistent with video. But I do intend to do more of that over time.
Cheese or chocolate?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Cheese or chocolate?
Chocolate.
I'm not going to say that's the right answer, but it is. Sheila E. or Karen Carpenter?
Sheila E.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say Cindy Blackman, but I was like, well, do people know? Anyway, ICP, does that stand for Insane Clown Posse or Ideal Customer Profile?
For me, it's Insane Clown Posse.
Come on. Every time I see that in marketing meetings, I'm like, I didn't know. We're into.
Nope, that definitely means something else.
We're juggaloing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Berlin or Barcelona?
Oh, geez, come on.
Hey.
Yeah, well, it's Berlin. I mean, that's my second home, third home. So
Nice.
Berlin.
Excellent. Okay, video on or video off? This is interesting.
Depends on the context. I guess I think video on in general.
Yeah, it's nice to see faces. Yeah. And finally, slow jams or dance jams?
Dance jams.
Obviously, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, maybe she's into the slow stuff. Nah, man. What kind of relaxing music do you listen to, or do you just relax to house?
No, I listen to tons of relaxing music, but it's almost always like jazz, Brazilian jazz, trip hop, world music. Yeah.
I've been going through a hard like Sergio Mendes, like
the best. I love it.
I mean, can you even deal with that? And the Portuguese,
it never gets old.
You cannot think of a cooler language. Like
for
lyrics.
Brazilian jazz is the best music that's ever been made.
Oh, strong tea you're pouring today, Lily. Whoa.
I know people are going to fight me on that, but
I don't know. But if they are,
also Brazilian disco.
Yeah, fine. Oh, in the 70s,
yeah,
some of that stuff was just slamming. But you know what? If you do have a problem, catch her on AI overviews, okay? And we can argue about it there.
Totally.
What Gets Measured is a NinjaCat podcast. Please rate and review the show wherever you find your podcasts. Share this episode on social, and visit us on the web at ninjacat.com. ninjacat.io.